Okay, so now you're all on the 8 precepts for the next few days. So those 8 precepts are the ordinary 5 precepts which stops the yogis getting into any mischief. So it means you cannot kill any living beings, not steal. We add on the 3rd precept, there's no sexuality at all. So during this retreat, there are no males, there are no females, there's just yogis. In Thailand, there are 3 genders, there are 3 sexes. There's men, there's women, and there's monks. They even set you aside. Samana sex is what it's called. Female, male, and samanas. So that you are honorary samanas for the next 8 or 9 days. You're honorary sexless persons. So you look upon each other not as men, not as women, but just as beings. Beings in samsara, trying to find a way out of suffering. So we don't look upon each other as opposite genders, as sex objects. We don't touch each other or anything like that. The next one is musawada. We tell the truth and we don't take any alcohol or non-medicinal drugs. If you're taking some prescription, some medication from your doctor, that's no problem whatsoever. It's only the non-medicinal drugs. And we don't eat in the afternoon, nor do we have adornments on our body, so we see people as they really are, not as they want to be seen. Just no adornments, no jewelry, no makeup. That goes for the men as well as the women. Also we have no looking at music, listen to music, singing, dancing, watching TVs, no entertainment. And lastly, we just live in ordinary accommodation, not luxurious beddings, not luxurious seats. We do this as an act of simplicity, of renunciation, so that instead of spending our time pursuing sex, pursuing movies, television, radio, pursuing sport, pursuing all of these things which waste so much of our time, where we keep these 8 precepts, precepts of renunciation, of giving up, so that we can spend all of our time just meditating on the spiritual path. So those are your 8 precepts to keep for the next 7 or 8 days until the end of this retreat. Sometimes people make mistakes and they break their precepts. Recently in Perth, one of my visitors staying at the monastery broke their precepts. So they came to ask forgiveness of me. They felt so guilty, and what they did was so bad, I decided to give them a punishment. I gave them 50 strokes of the cat. 50 strokes of the cat. You know what that means amongst 50 strokes of the cat? In our monastery we had a little cat, and their punishment was to stroke that cat 50 times. That means that's called 50 strokes of the cat. So I've seen a few cats in this temple here, so if you do anything wrong, you have to stroke that cat. Because what was happening was when a person does something wrong, they want to be punished because they got no compassion for themselves, no kindness. So that when they wanted me to punish them, I decided that what they really needed was to learn some more compassion, some more forgiveness. So I gave them 50 strokes of the cat. So if you do make a mistake, acknowledge, forgive, and learn. Acknowledge you made a mistake, you may have broken a precept, forgive yourself, and learn not to do it again. So that's what the precepts are all about. Now those precepts form a foundation for your meditation practice. The reason is because they are precepts of restraining and precepts of giving up. And that forms the heart of this meditation we're going to do the next few days. Now many of you may know the answer to this question, but many of you may not. What was the first teaching the Buddha gave after he became enlightened? Some people usually say the Four Noble Truths. But that's wrong. That's right. You've heard me say this before. The first teaching which the Buddha gave after he became enlightened was the middle way. What was that middle way? What does it mean, the middle way? It's avoiding two extremes. Who knows what that first extreme was to be avoided? Sorry? Enjoyment? Not quite, because the Buddha enjoyed his meditation practice. He would smile. Sorry? Sensual pleasures was the first one to avoid. What does sensual pleasures mean? Does anyone know what sensory pleasures mean? To the six senses? No, that's not quite right. The word is kama sukha. It is the pleasures of the five senses. Kama sukha alika nuyoga. Indulging in the happiness of the five senses. When in the Pali we always have kama sukha or kama loka, if you like, that's the world of the five senses. The first of the extremes was not indulging in the pleasures of seeing, hearing, smelling, tasting, or touching. And as Mrs. Neo pointed out, there's another sense. The sixth sense is the mind. The pleasures of the mind are not included in the extreme of sensory pleasure. That's an important point, because that's made very, very clear in the Arana Vibhanga Sutta, Majjhima Nikaya, where the Buddha made a point of monks, you should know how to discriminate pleasures. The pleasures of the five senses of seeing, hearing, smelling, tasting and touching are called amisa sukha. This is the pleasures of the world. The pleasure of the mind is called niramisa sukha. This is the pleasure which has got nothing to do with the world. The Buddha said of that pleasure, not bayita bang, asewita bang, bahulikata bang, baweta bang. That's in the Sutta, the simile of the quail. There's also many other suttas as well. He said that pleasure should not be feared, should be followed, should be made much of, should be developed. The happiness of the mind. That is not forbidden by the middle way. In fact, it is the middle way. Because the other extreme is like Atta Gilamatanu Yoga, which is like the attachment or the indulgence into things which hurt, harm or tire, wear out yourself. In other words, the practices which the Buddha did for 6 years before he became enlightened, trying to sit through pain, trying to hurt his body, trying to endure discomfort, even not eating enough, not sleeping enough. That was the extreme which the Buddha said you should not pursue. So when you do not pursue the pleasures of the five senses, you do not pursue the pain of the six senses, all that's left for you to pursue is the happiness of the mind. That is the middle way. So during this retreat, if I see any of you sitting down there, clenching your teeth, pushing through pain, I know that you haven't recalled the middle way. You aren't practicing the middle way. You're torturing yourself. That's why I'm very happy to see here again Mr. Neo. He's one of the wisest of meditators because he's sitting on a chair. While other people, they go through lots and lots of pain, hurting their legs, hurting their back, and then they don't have a very good retreat at all because they just torture themselves. That is not the way which the Buddha taught. If you're comfortable sitting on the floor, fine, sit on the floor. If you're not comfortable, please sit on a chair. I was talking with Venerable a few minutes ago. He's been talking about his trip to India, and I recall that whenever I go to Nalanda with a group of pilgrims, I always make a point of going to a particular place just by Sariputta Stupa, where there is some carvings in rocks surrounding that great monument. Because one of those carvings depicts the Buddha sitting on a chair. And I tell my disciples, you see, the Buddha sat on a chair, and now you think you are much better than the Buddha by refusing to sit on a chair and instead sitting on this little cushion. If it was okay for the Buddha, surely it's all right for you. So if you get hurting, tired, sit on a chair. Your meditation will get much better. You'll be following the Eightfold Path. You'll be going closer to enlightenment because you're following the middle way. Many years ago when I taught a retreat in Sydney, when I was going to that retreat, the person taking me had been to many retreats before in that place. And as he was talking, he said that meditation hall he'd nicknamed the torture chamber. Because every time he got on a retreat, he'd had to sit for so long. His knees ached, his back ached. It became for him the torture chamber. Please do not allow this room to be a torture chamber. Otherwise, the Lord Buddha would be very upset. The Lord Buddha was not into torturing people. He was compassionate. He was kind. So please be kind and compassionate towards yourself. If you follow the middle way, you'll be following the way of happiness, ease, peace in the mind. So this will not be the torture chamber. I told him that in my retreats, the meditation hall is known as the entertainment center. You're going to entertain your mind and have lots and lots of happiness. We don't call them meditation retreats when I teach. We call them Club Med. This is Club Med Penang. Club Meditation Penang. So welcome to Club Med. Because what we're doing here is find this beautiful, peaceful, easy, lovely way which leads to the deepest of meditations. After the Buddha taught the middle way about not going to extremes, about looking after your body. You know, the Buddha had a wash, a good meal, and when he sat down, he didn't go around sitting on the knotty roots of the bo tree. He got some grass. He made a very thick cushion for himself. Even the Buddha did that to make it comfortable. So please make sure you're sitting comfortably. If one cushion is not enough, get 2, get 3, get 4. I don't care as long as you're comfortable. Because when you're not comfortable, you'll never be able to let go of the body. This path is letting go of the body, letting go of the 5 senses, to go to the world of the mind, to enjoy that world. Now, after teaching the middle way, what was the next teaching the Buddha gave? It was 4 Noble Truths, yes. What's the first Noble Truth? No. You fell into my trap. Yeah, it's quite true. The Buddha did teach suffering first of all, but these days I turn the 4 Noble Truths around. What the Buddha taught as Noble Truth number 3, I put prominently as number 1. What the Buddha taught as Noble Truth number 4, I put as number 2. My Noble Truth number 3 becomes the Buddha's first Noble Truth. Number 4 becomes the second. So the 4 Noble Truths rearranged in that way become the Noble Truth of happiness. The second is the Noble Truth of the cause of happiness. The third Noble Truth is unhappiness. And the 4th Noble Truth is the cause of unhappiness. It's exactly the same teaching which the Buddha gave. The end of happiness, the end of craving, nibbana, is called by the Buddha many times paramang sukhang, the ultimate happiness. So the 3rd Noble Truth, the end of suffering, is happiness. The Eightfold Path is the path towards that ultimate happiness. The first noble truth is that sometimes there's unhappiness. And the second noble truth is why there's unhappiness, craving. When I put those four noble truths in that way, as I will do this evening in a public talk, you see that it gives a different spin on the Buddha's teachings, a much closer identification to the actual path which Buddhists walk, especially meditators walk. If you are practicing correctly on the Eightfold Path, it leads to greater and greater happiness, greater and greater sense of freedom, a greater and greater sense of peace. This is how we know our progress, by the increase of happiness and peace on the path. In the Samanyapala Sutta, Digha Nikaya number 2, the Buddha first taught the gradual path to awakening, starting with your precepts. It's anyone who keeps those precepts starts to experience the Anawajja Sukha, which means the blameless happiness. He says it's a happiness because the Buddha was asked by the king Ajatasattu, what's the point of being a monk? What's the point of coming to a meditation retreat like this? What's the point of keeping precepts? And the Buddha was saying the point was happiness. And he said, these are the fruits of the holy life. The first fruit is the happiness which comes from keeping your precepts. You don't keep the precepts for happiness in the future, it's happiness now, the Anawajja Sukha. When you practice restraint, sense restraint, then you get the Avayasaka Sukha, the faultless happiness, or these are the stainless happiness, when you practice restraint. And then when you start to give up the five hindrances and get into deep meditation, then you get the happinesses of the jhanas, which the Buddha calls Sambodhi Sukha, enlightenment-like happiness, or Nekama Sukha, the happiness of renouncing the body and the senses. And in each of the stages towards enlightenment, it's an increase in one's happiness. And you can well say that your progress on the path is measured by how happy you are. So, when you're meditating here, I'll be able to see how you're doing by the indicator below your nose. If that mouth is turned down on the edges, I'd realize you are suffering. If it is horizontal, I realize, well, you're just about managing to keep your head above water. If I see that those edges of the mouth are turned up, I realize, now that's a good meditator. That happiness is important. So please remember that. Now, in the Buddha's teaching, what was the cause of unhappiness, the cause of suffering? Craving. Now, craving causes suffering, said the Buddha. So when you're meditating, are you doing craving meditation? I tell people there are two types of meditation. This is going back to the Buddha's normal formulation of the Four Noble Truths. What are the two types of meditation which people do today? Two types of meditation? Samatha Vipassana? No. That's not the two types of meditation. Whenever asked a question, never give the obvious answer. The two types of meditation which people do today is not Samatha Vipassana. It's Second Noble Truth meditation and Third Noble Truth meditation. Those are the two types of meditation people do today. Second Noble Truth meditation is called craving. I want. I want to get into deep meditation. I want to get some experiences. I want to get jhana. I want to get enlightened. I want to get insight. That's called craving. If you're craving, what is the result? Suffering. Do you do Second Noble Truth meditation? If you're meditating and you get suffering, that's the meditation you practice. You're practicing craving meditation, and that's the cause of suffering. So if you're having difficulty, no happiness in the next 8 days, it's because you're doing second Noble Truth meditation. Third Noble Truth meditation, that which leads to enlightenment, that which leads to the ultimate happiness, that's called the stopping of craving. Now that's third Noble Truth meditation. Later on I'll tell you why there's no difference at all between samatha and vipassana. There's no difference at all between loving kindness meditation, anapanasati or satipatthana. These are all the same. The only difference is between second Noble Truth and third Noble Truth meditation. Third Noble Truth meditation is letting go of craving. This is why you're keeping 8 precepts, because you're letting go of many things. You're letting go of the TV, of music, of worrying about your appearance. It's letting go. How do we do letting go meditation? What do I mean by third Noble Truth meditation? There are 4 types of letting go mentioned by the Buddha in this third Noble Truth. Those 4 types of letting go are chaga, muti, patinissagga, analaya. Chaga means generosity. It means giving. What do we mean by generosity and giving? If you make a donation expecting your name to be written on some list of donors on the wall, that is not generosity. That is doing a business deal. If you give some charity expecting acknowledgement and thanks, that's not giving. That again is business. I'll give to you as long as you thank me back. If you're kind and generous to someone, for example, the people organizing this retreat, if you expect thanks afterwards, that's not charity. Again, that's just doing business. Real giving is giving expecting nothing back in return. That's what chaga means. Giving expecting nothing back in return. Now, when you meditate, do you expect something back in return? Do you meditate to get peaceful, to get happy, to get enlightened? If you do, it's not letting go. If you want to know how to meditate, try that first of the 4 ways of letting go. To give yourself to the meditation period. I'm just going to sit down, cross-legged, or have my legs dangling over a chair, not expecting to achieve anything at all. I'm doing it as an act of giving. I'm following the path of the Buddha. This is what the Buddha did. This is what I'm doing. I'm giving, expecting nothing back in return. If you do that, it's called letting go. When that happens, there's no craving. When that happens, there's a very great likelihood, because of letting go, you'll be at peace. In my meditation method, first stage, present moment awareness, you give yourself to the present moment, expecting nothing back in return. You give yourself to silence, not expecting things. You give yourself to this breath, not expecting. You give 100%. And if anyone comes and says, that doesn't work, I tried that. What do you mean it doesn't work? If you say it doesn't work, it means you're expecting to get something out of it. When there's no expectations, then there's contentment. When there's contentment, there's peace. When there's peace, there's stillness. This is how you get into deep meditation. So the first way of letting go is giving, expecting nothing back in return. The second way of meditation is called freedom. Muti. What is freedom? There's a story I tell of one of my monks who went to teach in a prison. After teaching many weeks in the prison, the prisoners asked him, what is it like living in a monastery in Australia? And we told him how harsh it was in our monastery, getting up so early in the morning, having to sit meditation in a sort of a cold, dark hut. There was no televisions, no radios. There were no soft cushion, no soft beds to lay on. It was sleeping on the floor. Our meal of the day was just eaten in one bowl. Everything got mixed together. The ice cream melted over the spaghetti. The custard dripped into the curries. And after that, we'd be working probably very hard beforehand, not for money, but just because what we had to do. In the afternoon, we'd be meditating all afternoon. There was nothing to distract us. And in the evening, more meditation. The point was that when he told how austere our lifestyle was as a Buddhist monk, one of the prisoners felt so much compassion for this monk. He felt so sorry for him. Without realizing what he was saying, the prisoner said, "That's terrible living in your monastery. Why didn't you come in here and stay with us?" He was invited into the jail. And it made me think afterwards, what is a jail and what is freedom? It does not matter how comfortable your situation is or how uncomfortable. If you don't want to be there, then it's a prison. If you're content to be here, then you're free. If they put you in jail and you're content to be there, then it's not a jail for you anymore, it's freedom. If they put me in a jail, if they put me in solitary confinement, that would be blissful. I would not have to go to travel anywhere to give talks or teach retreats. I could stay in one place, and probably in jail I'd probably get better food. I'd have all the time in the world for retreat. Oh, if I was in solitary confinement in a prison, that would be freedom for me. I probably wouldn't want to leave. Now, do you understand? It doesn't really matter where you are. If you don't want to be there, you're in a prison. So, what is freedom? What is a prison in your meditation? If you're sitting here in your body and your body's uncomfortable, if you don't want to be there, your body becomes a prison. It's not freedom anymore. How do you escape? You let go. You want to be here. Pain, thank you for coming. You are my friend. I'm not trying to escape from you. I'm content with my headache. Then you are free from your headache. You're sitting down and your mind is wandering, thinking about so many different things. If you say to that wandering mind, I'm content with you to wander, you can wander wherever you want. Then you are free. If you say, I don't want my mind to wander, then you're in prison. This happened to me when I was 6 years as a monk in Thailand. I found a quiet little hermitage in the north of Thailand. For the first month, I was by myself. For the first month, everything was so nice and peaceful. But by the end of the first month, my mind started to get restless. It started to wander. And the harder I tried to stop my wandering mind, strange, the more it wandered off. And I was really strict on it. I really tried to suppress that mind. But then it started thinking even the worst of fantasies and thoughts, really unmonkish things I'd be embarrassed to tell you about. So what I did one day, it was getting completely out of hand. I went up to the big Buddha statue in this monastery and I made a determination. It's more like a deal. I said, may the Buddha help me. May I be able to watch my breath for 23 hours of the day. But for 1 hour of the day, if the mind really wants to wander off and start thinking of those thoughts, I will give it the opportunity from 3 p.m. to 4 p.m. every afternoon. Mind, you can think whatever you want. But for the rest of the day, you have to stay on the breath. That was a deal. So, having made that deal in front of the Buddha statue, I meditated, it was as hard as ever. It didn't quite work the way I expected it to. I struggled to watch the breath, and thoughts would come in. I'd bring the mind back, and it would rush off again. It was just so hard to keep my mind on my meditation object. But it came to 3 p.m, so I went up to my hut. I leant against the wall, because my back was sore. I put out my legs to stretch them, and I said, okay, mind, whatever you want to think about, anything goes. This is part of the deal. If you want to think about girls, if you want to think about violence, if you want to think about sport, anything goes, because this is part of the deal. And I stopped restraining my mind. For the next hour, it was the most peaceful meditation of the whole day. All I thought about was the breath. Just breath going in, breath going out. I never missed one. And I thought, what's going on? What's happening? How come when I was trying so hard, there's no way I could watch the breath? When I let go, the breath was right there. You try that. You'll be surprised how it works. When you control your mind, it's called Second Noble Truth meditation. Craving, wanting something to be. If you give that mind freedom, real freedom, you're giving it peace. You are free. You're just happy to be here. When you're happy to be here, you don't want to go anywhere. When you don't want to go anywhere, you're still. Do you want to be on this retreat? Do you want to be sitting here listening to this talk? Do you want to be sitting on your mat? If you're content to be here, you're free. You don't want to move. You're still. It was because of discontent. I wasn't happy where I was. That was why I was restless. That was what was fueling my restless mind. That was why I couldn't stop it, because I was trying to stop it. When I let go, when I said, it doesn't matter, I'm going to be content just to be with this wandering mind, the cause, the source of the wandering mind was stopped, and it was still. It's called pressing the letting go button. Even when you may be watching the breath, and it's hard to watch the breath, it doesn't matter. Be content wherever you are. In any stage of the meditation, if you're content to be at that stage, you'll find the meditation goes deeper. All meditation is about building contentment and deepening that contentment. It's overcoming desires, not making more desires. Until you're so content, the mind stops and goes into deep meditation. It's the second way of letting go. Knowing that freedom is being content where you are. Being in prison is just not wanting to be here, wanting to be somewhere else. The third type of meditation is called patinissagga, or abandoning things, throwing things out. See how much you can throw out of your mind. My mother, who's still alive, lives in London, has a little shelf in her sitting room on which she puts many mementos, some of which have come from me. The first time when I visited her from Australia, I brought her a small toy kangaroo, one of those little fluffy dolls, which are very, very nice and cuddly. I gave it to her as a gift from Australia. She put it on that shelf in her sitting room. The next time I came, I gave her a koala. The next time, it was a kookaburra. Then one day I came, I had a toy wombat, a little furry, soft toy wombat to give her. By this time, her shelf was so full of my toys, my sort of gifts and other gifts, and also photographs and other mementos. It was so full that when she tried to put this wombat on, the kangaroo and the koala fell off, and so did a lot of other papers. I told her, look, why didn't you throw that old kangaroo away? You've had it for years. And she said, oh no, that means something to me, like it's
It's an emotional bond there that was given to me by you so many years ago, and this was given by somebody else, and this was given by somebody else. I can't throw those away. They're important. And so she tried to balance all this stuff on top of her shelf. And every time she put what fell off down and put it back on again, more stuff fell off. There simply was not room on that shelf to put everything on. When people try and shove so much stuff on the shelf they call their mind, sometimes we get nervous breakdowns. And all that is because we can't put any more stuff there. We get stressed, we get tense, we get angry, we get upset, we suffer. Wouldn't it be wonderful to clear off all of that old stuff? So you've got a nice clean shelf. So whoever next comes and gives you a wombat from Australia, you can put it right on the middle there. And when somebody else comes from somewhere else, and someone else comes from Penang, and they offer a nice toy durian, you can take off the wombat, put it away, and put the durian on there. Why do we keep so much stuff? We keep so much stuff because it's called attachments. It's the attachments which load us, which means we can't enjoy the moment because we're keeping too much stuff. Patinissagga, throwing away, means throwing away as much stuff as you possibly can from the shelf that is your mind, not keeping anything. Meditation is like ballooning. These people who go in these big balloons, they sit in the basket and they go floating up into the sky. That's what meditation is, rising high into the sky. When you rise high into the sky, not only is it very peaceful up there, but also you've got great views as well. The peace stands for samatha, the view stands for insight. That's how it works. But with ballooning, you can only go high if you throw out all the ballast, all the weight from the basket. In meditation, you can only go high if you start throwing away things from inside your mind. You have to throw away to get into deep meditation. The first thing you throw away is the past and the future. See it, throw it out. Every thought of the past, even what happened earlier, throw it out. Are you an experienced meditator, an old hand, or are you a first-timer? Throw all of that out. Everyone is a first-timer. You only have now. You throw away all your past, whether you could or you couldn't meditate in the past, throw it all out. Don't keep anything. Throw away all expectations. Throw away all words. What are words anyway but just dead stuff? Dead ideas, they're not the truth. Throw it away. Throw away all your notebooks. Because they cling to what's already been said. By the time you write it down, it's already gone. You're not in the present moment. Throw away as much as you can. Are you a man? Are you a woman? Are you old? Are you young? Throw it all away. Is this a good meditation, a bad meditation? Throw it away. All the words, all the measuring, stop you being at peace. What is a good meditation anyway? What is a bad meditation? How about throwing it all away? It was a British scientist and philosopher, Lord Kelvin, once said, in order to control things, we have to learn how to measure accurately. It was the beginning of technology, of engineering. To measure things accurately first of all, and then we can control the world. It was a very poignant, very meaningful statement, because it made the connection between measuring and control. If you throw away all measuring, then there's letting go. There cannot be control anymore when there's no such measuring as a good meditation or a bad meditation. There's letting go when you throw away all those words. When you throw away the concept of time, of minutes and hours and days, you'll find you've let go of time. Then you're not so concerned about how many hours there are to tea, how many minutes are left until there's lunch, how many days there are left till this meditation ends. Throw away that concept of time if you want to be free. Throw away anything which is a measure, and then you've let go. That's what patinisika means. No good, no bad in this retreat. Then you're free. Try that out, and then you become at peace. What are you trying to achieve anyway? People say they want to get enlightened. Do you know what enlightenment is? You're trying to achieve something. You don't know whether it exists or not. You don't know where it is. You don't know whether it's true or not. The Buddha said that's like somebody who says they're going to marry the most beautiful girl in the land. And someone says, what's that girl's name? What village does she live with? Who's her parents? They don't know, but they say, I'm going to marry the most beautiful girl in the land. We want to meditate to get enlightened, but we don't know what enlightenment is. Isn't that foolish? Stop trying. Stop measuring. It's called letting go. Because when you stop measuring, you stop controlling. You stop aiming, you stop craving. And the letting go happens then. It's the third way of letting go. And the fourth way of letting go, analaya, is having what we now would call a Teflon mind. A mind to which nothing sticks. Whatever experience you're having now, as soon as now's gone, so has the experience. You don't allow anything to linger in your mind. Even the most beautiful experience, you don't try and grab onto it. The most horrible experience, you don't try to push it away. If I sat in this room and I never talked to anybody, they come in, then they get bored, then they go out. I would not need to get rid of them. They come and go according to their nature, not my will. That's what happens with letting go. When you have a mind to which nothing sticks, the past doesn't linger, nor does the future come and call. A mind to which nothing sticks is a mind which knows letting go. So these are the four ways the Buddha taught in the third noble truth of letting go. Chaga, muti, patinisika, analaya. Giving, expecting nothing back in return. Freedom, meaning being content where you are, whatever that is. Whatever the mind is experiencing now, you're content. You're not wanting it to be different. Throwing things away. Whatever you can find, throw it out of your basket. And lastly, having a non-stick mind. If you can do that, you know what letting go is. And as you let go, the Buddha said that's a path which leads to enlightenment. What you find happens is that time doesn't make any sense anymore. You're always in the moment. There's nothing to say anymore. The mind becomes still. No commentary arises when you're not lingering in the past. You can watch the breath with ease, because the breath just is. And you're letting go of trying to control it, trying to make it something, trying to get to the next stage. And because of contentment, you're with the breath so long that many things disappear, such as the perception of in and out. And you go to a different perception of breath. The breath disappears, and with it disappear the body and the five senses. When this body and the five senses disappear, you can't hear anything, you can't see anything, you can't smell, you can't taste, nor can you feel the body with touch. those 5 senses completely disappear. You couldn't even hear the sound of the traffic outside, nor could you hear the sound of me giving a talk over the PA system. You can't feel your body. The hands disappear, the legs disappear. You don't know where your body is. When those 5 senses disappear, all that's left is sense number 6, the mind. And that's a happy mind. It occurs as this beautiful light coming up in the mind and nimitta. Then you're getting into your meditation. You're seeing what the mind is. You're getting insight into the nature of the mind and insight into the nature of the body and the senses. A tadpole born in the water cannot know what water is. It's all around him. It's been with him all his life. How can a tadpole know water? But when the tadpole leaves that lake, when it becomes a frog, when it sees and experiences dry land, then the tadpole knows, that's what water was. This is what dry land is. Like the person who gets into those deep meditations, when the body and the 5 senses disappear, then they can know what the body and the senses are. At the moment you've been born in that body, you've had those senses around you all the time. How can you know what they really are? Because they've always been there. Like water around a fish, it cannot know it. When that body and senses disappear, then is the time you get insight into the nature of the body and the 5 senses. And you also get insight into the nature of the mind. Like the frog gets to know what dry land is and what water is. This is the path of meditation. It's the path of ever-increasing happiness and bliss. It's a path which is born of letting go in these 4 ways. It's a path which is based on the renunciation of precepts. It's the middle way between indulging in the pleasures of the 5 senses or hurting oneself. It's indulging in the pleasures of letting go, the pleasures of the mind. So I'm taking you on this journey into your mind, letting go of the body and all those senses, letting go of the past and the future, letting go of the thoughts in these ways. So please remember these important instructions. If it's not working for you, if you're having suffering and you're not getting happiness, check. What are you craving? What do you want? It's sure to be Second Noble Truth meditation. If it leads to peace, you've done Third Noble Truth meditation. You've given, expecting nothing back in return. Learning contentment, throwing things away, having a non-stick mind. That's the Buddha's way of meditation. 4 Noble Truths is meditation. That's why this path, it goes to the very heart of what the Buddha found under the Bodhi tree. So, do you all understand now what you're supposed to be doing, or rather what you're not supposed to be doing? During the course of this retreat, I'll be giving more instructions and in detail. The talks in the evening will be quite general because they'll be open to visitors from outside. But the talks, I just amended the program from, I think, was it 8 till 9 every morning. I'll give some instructions specifically aimed at meditation. So please, 8 a.m. to 9 a.m. every morning, there'll be a talk here on instructions of meditation. So I can get you deeper and deeper, happier and happier, into the beautiful meditations of the Buddha. And I expect by the end of this retreat to see you smiling so much. I said in a retreat in KL, it's usually the custom to take the group photograph at the end of a retreat. That's really missing the point, because at the end of the retreat, everybody smiles because they're going home. But in my retreats, I would hope it to be that at the end of the retreat, when you take the group photograph, everyone looks miserable. Oh, the retreat's ended, I'm going home. If that's the case, the group photograph at the end, everyone looks miserable, then that's been a good retreat. So any questions about what I've just been saying? Now's the time for the questions about the talk. Now, come on, you know what I say about questions. You know the story in the sutras about the karmic causes which give rise to certain rebirths. Some of you are nodding, you maybe not remember this. The Buddha said, I think it's the Mahakarma Vibhanga Sutta, Majjhima Nikaya, that he told a wanderer, Todai I think his name was, who asked him, why is it some people are born into rich families while some people are born poor? You know, what's the karmic causes of these states of inequality in life? And the Buddha said that all about the causes, what you have to do in this life to be born in a rich family in the next life, and why it is that some people are born into poor families. He said why it is that some people are born very, very beautiful, while some people are born ugly. In particular, the Buddha said, the karmic causes why some people will be reborn intelligent in the next life, while others will be reborn stupid in the next life. And the karmic cause, the reason why people will be reborn stupid in their next life, is because they do not ask questions in this one. Now, anyone got any questions about what I just said? Otherwise you'll be reborn stupid, not in your next life, but this afternoon. You won't know what to do. So is that quite clear about what you're supposed to do in the meditation? Has everyone got the copy of those little booklets, the basic method of meditation? Okay. Has anyone not got a copy of that book? One person. Have we got some more copies somewhere? The basic method of meditation? If you go and see that's the book, yeah. If you go and see the organizer, make sure you get a copy of that book, because that gives the basic instructions there. So I don't need to repeat all of those instructions here. It's based on the Anapanasati Sutta, which I'll probably give a talk about that later on. But it's all about how, stage by stage, we get into deep meditations. This is just telling you the stages of the journey, what it's like, what you should actually meet up with as you let go more and more. And each of those stages in the meditation, please note, it's within the stage you're experiencing now. It's right in the center of what you're experiencing now. That's why the Buddha said, all the Dhamma of the Buddha, all the teachings are in this body and mind, in this fathom-long body, he said. Silent, or rather, the present moment is right in the middle of now. Right in the middle of time, Right in the middle of time you find the present moment. What's in the middle of now? N-O-W. What's between the N and the W? That's right, nothing. Silence. And what's in the center of the O? Emptiness, space. In the middle of the present moment is silence. In the middle of the silence you'll find your breath. In the middle of the breath you'll find the next stage, the beautiful breath. In the middle of the beautiful breath you'll find the beautiful nimittas, the lights which come in the mind. In the middle of the nimittas you'll find your jhanas. You never have to give up what you're experiencing now. You never have to abandon this wandering mind, this painful body. Just go into the center of it. Be with it. Contented to be here. Because the path into liberation is right here in this body and mind. In this restless, painful, stupid, old body and mind. Right in the center of this. Go to that center. That's where you'll find liberation. You don't need to go anywhere else. Don't throw away what you're experiencing now. Instead, go into it. Okay? Yeah.
Okay, do you have to label things or just watch it? If you've been doing labeling before, you can start labeling, you can start noting, but after a while go into the middle of that, where there's no ting. Where there's no ting. No noise at all. This is no ting. Also, I always mention, I forgot actually, that in this retreat, it's called Noble Silence Retreat. You know what noble silence means? This little thing over here called the bell, I will not ring. I'm going to throw this away. This is going to be a no bell silence retreat. So you sit as long as you want. We're going for the Nobel Peace Prize. No bells, no time. You sit as long as you want. You sit as short as you want. When you get tired, in pain, when it's time for you to get up and walk. But don't be a prisoner of time, saying, this is the time I've got to meditate, I've got to get up this time, I've got to sleep at this time. Be natural. If you feel like sitting and meditating, meditate. If you feel like resting, rest. At any time of the day, I will not be ringing any bells. This is a no-bell silence retreat. So for the beginner's stage, try no ting either. So you can start with labeling, but after a while, let go of those labels. When they've done their job, just to get you in contact with the breath, then they don't need to be said anymore. Whatever experience comes up, see if you can know it without giving it a name. For example, how does your bottom feel pressed against your cushion? Don't try to give it a name, because that feeling is much more than any name. So when we try and give it a name, we're not being true to the feeling. It's like that old story of Lao Tzu, the great Taoist master, who would go for a walk every evening for exercise. And one day he would allow students to go with him on one condition: they kept the golden rule of absolute silence while going on the walk. On this one occasion, Lao Tzu allowed his young student to go with him. They walked a long way through the forest, up the hill, and they came to the ridge of the mountains when it was sunset. And there was the most glorious sunset you can imagine. And the young student couldn't help himself but say, "Wow, what a wonderful sunset." He broke the rule, at which Lao Tzu turned around, went back, and he would never allow that young man to go on a walk again with him. Where the students say, what's the purpose of that rule anyway? What's wrong with saying what a beautiful sunset? Why are you so strict? And the great Taoist master said, when that student said, "What a wonderful sunset," he wasn't looking at the sunset anymore, he was looking at the words. There's a lot of difference between the words and the experience. If you're always doing noting, you're just looking at the words, you're not looking at the experience. Actually, you're not being mindful. Real mindfulness is always silent awareness of the present moment, when there's no words at all. That's when we truly know. Okay. Thank you for that question. Now there's going to be a smart meditator. She's going to be intelligent in the next meditations. Does anyone else want to not be stupid in your next day of meditation? Okay, you had the chance. Okay, so we just got in time. Okay. You can do whatever practice you like as long as it's Third Noble Truth meditation, not Second Noble Truth. Make sure it's giving, expecting nothing back in return. Make sure it's freedom, being happy to be here. Whatever here happens to be in this moment, be content. As long as it's throwing away things. You have to throw away the noting as well. Throw away vipassana. Throw away samatha. Throw all that old stuff away. See if you can have a mind to which nothing sticks. Not vipassana, not samatha. Then you do Third Noble Truth meditation.
So if someone asks, what does Ajahn Brahm teach? Are you teaching Vipassana, Samatha, Metta, Anapanasati, Satipatthana? I teach Third Noble Truth, meditation. If it fits that, go for it. Okay, so now is 3, was it time? Just gone 3:15. So, you can sit for however long you wish. You can walk. If you feel like having a rest, have a rest. At any time of the day and night, you are allowed to go to your room, stretch out your body and have a nap. The reason I say this is because it works. Sometimes in a retreat you feel tired, you feel stressed, and sometimes you will realize the more you push, the more stress you will get. Sometimes the body needs to rest, and you try and force the body to do something else. Every time, even in KL last week, this worked again. Every time someone's not getting anywhere in the meditation, when they feel dozy, I say, go to your room, lay down, have a nap. After you finish your nap, take a shower, have maybe something to drink, and then come and meditate. And you'll probably get the best meditation of your retreat. It happened to a lady in KL, said she had a very difficult time meditating, so she decided to have a hot bath, have a rest, have a hot bath. She made herself a cup of tea or something, Chinese tea. She came to meditate, so she was so nice. She had the best, most peaceful meditation. It's an investment to take a nap. Otherwise, you'd be pushing and struggling all afternoon, getting nowhere. All you needed was 15 minutes, half an hour, just stretching out. You relax, you've got letting go. When you bring that back up here, you can meditate for 2 hours or 3 hours or whatever. So, be a skilled meditator. Don't just look at the clock. And even in this retreat, unfortunately, this did happen in KL. It's only just yesterday I was teaching a retreat in KL. We only finished yesterday lunchtime. And yesterday lunchtime, after the retreat finished, I was down to Ipoh last night to give a talk, or back up here. So it was yesterday I was teaching in KL. So often happens when people learn how to let go and relax. They get good meditations. And sometimes people get into such beautiful meditations, when the bell goes for lunch, they just do not want to have lunch. If that happens to you, like it happened to a couple of people, they just miss their lunch. Isn't it more important to enjoy meditation? So, when you get into deep meditation, don't worry about time, don't worry about lunch. Just keep on going and enjoy yourself. Lunch comes every day. Good meditation comes very rarely. Isn't that a wonderful thing? That people are having such a good time, they're not even cared about waiting for the bell, getting up and going to lunch. Now that's what we call beautiful meditation. So hopefully many of you will miss your lunch. Okay, so just meditate, enjoy yourself and see what happens next. Tomorrow we'll be having interviews. Those interviews are first come, first served basis, putting names on the board downstairs, and so I'll be able to give you personal instructions on your meditation. But on those interviews, because there's so many of you, please keep it to meditation problems, not personal problems, not problems about your wife or about your husband or about both if you've got two of them, not about your kids or whatever. Make it sure it's meditation problems, because it's a meditation retreat. And down to 10 minutes. Because my rule that we have to have a monk with me, that I think I will take the bell down onto the interview room. When it gets to 9 minutes, 1 ring. You can say 1 minute to go. 10 minutes, 2 rings, time to go. If he goes to 11 minutes, he's allowed to hit you over the head with a bonger. Okay. Have happy meditating. Keep a smile on your face, because happiness is the path to enlightenment. Okay, enjoy.